Coach, yeah, looking at
Yep.
the ATR on the daily in crude, it is decreasing, right? You can see it over the past, and this is, the past 14 days where that daily ATR right now is at uh, uh, $1.50 in crude. But that's over the last 14 days where we had this consolidation. Over the
Right.
last maybe six or so, we've seen it kind of pick up a little bit, trading under the $70 level.
Order filled.
I've been looking to buy it and just haven't traded it much. But
Yeah.
crude likes to do this thing on a higher time frame where it ranges between $65 and $80, and finding some buyers above this 70. I think I'm going to start looking at this market a little bit more. You did mention RBOB gasoline futures. We do
Yeah.
have crude oil opening up in about 10 minutes or so. I always love, when we have people come on Top Step TV and talk about a different market that may not get traded often. Any levels that you might be looking at in RBOB if you're going to trade that today, Coach?
Yeah. Let me take a quick look here. I was kind of focusing on. Let me open up a chart here of our Bob. See a main chart here. Okay, so again, we're kind of in similar kind of places here. At least on the daily, we have no, well, not the daily. This is a 15-minute chart. Looking at the daily. Okay, so we're going to shrink this down here. So we're kind of in this area of range. You're kind of similar to what we've been seeing to some degree in the crude oil. We are in this daily kind of value range, right?
Mhm.
Here's the higher end of price here, right? Higher volume, and as a result, we're seeing a lot of range kind of price action. So again, these are daily levels, right? But I would say
Yep.
that we should be holding out for $2, but $2, 277. Okay, this would be kind of a level
Gotcha.
that I would be looking at in this market, maybe to the downside. Okay. And then maybe below that, I would say around this area that it's above currently at 218.25. That would be kind of a support zone that I would be kind of looking at heading into this RBAR market.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Ray. Just a little
Yep.
little outside market that doesn't maybe get a lot of love, but there's a ton of opportunity out there. All right, so we
Yep.
got a couple minutes to the crude oil open. We got about 7 minutes or so. Coach Ray, we kind of went over levels and process and things like that. How does your trading day normally look? We know you're a
Yeah.
teacher as well. When are you normally looking to place trades? Is it something that you're looking at potentially to take right now? How does that work for you?
Yeah. Yeah, I generally I'm actually I tend to sit on the sidelines here for the first hour of the trade session. I kind
Okay.
of let the market kind of play out here. So I'm not really involved too much on these sort of any sort of opening range trades. So basically what I wait for is kind of the initial balance range, which was I guess the grandpa of the opening range, right? So
Right.
right. So I wait for the first hour of trade, and then basically I wait for that range to kind of guide me as to what direction they want to take the market. Now, right now, I mean, looking at this from a London perspective, I have this tool that allows me to kind of draw different ranges for different markets. I see that price is above the initial balance range from London, so that could kind of lead to maybe a potential bullish move, maybe an acceptance back into value from yesterday. That could lead to maybe a full rotation back up to that 70 number that you're looking for. But as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned, I generally wait for the first hour. On a rare occasion, I maybe go the first 30 minutes. If I see a really strong candle, momentum candle in your way, then I either decide to fade that or go with it. If I get a little bit of a pullback. But yeah, so I would say that's kind of my style of trade. I generally am not involved in the opening range all that much.
Awesome stuff. Coach Ray, I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Um,
Yes.
but anytime I get to work with Coach Ray, we have to bring it up. We don't get to see him on Top Step TV often because he's busy teaching the youth of
Yes.
America. But
Yes.
Coach Ray, you have one of the longest tenured accounts with Top Step. Is
Yes,
that
I
right?
do. That is correct. That is correct. I think it's
Talk to
where
it. Go ahead.
coming up on 5 years, I believe.
Wow.
So it's interesting because a lot of times you hear all these opportunities to reset accounts or coach, I reset my account or blew out my account. Well, my claim to fame is that I hold the same account that I passed 5 years ago. I mean, now I've kind of obviously dabbled with some other combines in the meantime, but
Right.
my original account that I passed back 5 years ago, I still hold today, right? So now, obviously, the account has been through some drawdowns, but the
Sure.
idea, I guess, the mindset that I guess I would say, and I would encourage others, is that when we run a business, right? We run a business. We want to make sure that we take care of the capital in that business, right? So if we find ourselves just not, seeing the market all that well, or whatever the case may be, it is our duty to sit that market aside and basically be able to open bit for business the very next day. So yeah, I'm a firm believer of that, and I really encourage my traders actually kind of to kind of change their name from trader to risk manager. And I think that kind of
Right.
mindset, I think, actually helps support traders in kind of the mindset that you need to really participate. I don't know, I can't remember. Was it Cortland? I think we've worked with, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Coach,
Right.
and I think he has his calendar kind of all mapped out, right, on the days that are opportune are for his strategy, right? So he's not
Yep.
involved in the markets on a daily basis. He's got the calendar mapped out on the days that are aligned with his strategies, right? And that's what he does. On all the other days, he's not tempted to get involved in the market because he understands his strategy, he understands his process, and he wants to be in an environment that's conducive and supportive of his strategies.
Yeah, yeah. When so Coach Ray and I work a lot together on some projects with Top Step, kind of behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes. And one of these programs that we were doing, shout out to Cortland, who works with Top Step as well. What Coach Ray's talking about, he trades the treasury products and has his trades pretty much planned out for the next 3 months, right? Where he can look at an economic
Yeah.
calendar and say, "Hey, I'm only going to trade on these specific days." And I think those are the kind of things when we zoom
Order
out, we know
filled.
how we maybe technically approach the markets every day, right? I'm going to look for this volume move on a very short time frame, and that's going to get me into a trade. But then, what am I
Right.
doing over the next 3 months that lead to sustainability of an account where I can consistently make money from the markets? There might be drawdowns and things like that, but overall, I'm looking at this as a potential uh, income source if I manage the account the right way. And I think planning on a higher time frame that way, you've done it. Cortland is a great example of that as well. I think that's how you
Yeah.
keep an account for a long period of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. No. Again, I
We're
think
almost,
it's. Go ahead.
as I say,
We're
we're
about a
almost
couple of
open
minutes
here
away from the
in
open.
crude,
Yeah. Yeah.
and tilt's leaning 77 long here in the crude.
Yeah.
Before we go, 78% in
Yeah.
the money. Average price 69.55.
Yeah. So we're creeping into value from yesterday. So if we do
Okay.
manage to close back inside the value range from yesterday here, then there's a possibility if we can get above this more immediate level here. I got RBOB displayed here, but I guess 69.70 ish, maybe up to 69.80. I would say that if we can get above that level, I think that we could see a rally in this market. But the fact that we're back inside of value does speak maybe a bullish opening range opportunity.
Awesome stuff. Bullish opening range. I like that as well. I'm leaning towards the buy side in crude oil. Let's see how we open. We got about 40 seconds on that opening range. Uh, we'll look at a 1 minute opening range. I'm going to do the trade it the same way I trade every other opening range. Attach a VWAP to it. See if it leaves that range, and then go from there. Because then not only from a price perspective, but from a volume perspective, the market's telling us it's choosing a direction. And that major 70 level up there, that's going to
Yeah.
be a management level for sure because we need to see some convinced buyers above 70 in crude.
Yeah, and this is above 69.70. Looks like it's getting into a kind of a low volume area. So it's going to be an area where we're going to see some, I believe, activity, right? So either
Nice.
we're going to accelerate in one direction or we're going to come back into value here. So we got the open, I think.
We are open
Open.
here
Yep, we are
in the
open.
crude.
So we got a little bit of a bearish engulfing candle kind of developing now on the 15. So we'll see how this kind of plays out. Looking a little bearish at the moment.
Order filled.
Does look a little bearish. We got another 20 seconds on this opening range so far. It's a 10 tick range. 69, 61 at the low, 69.72 at the high.
So do we get a rejection of value here and accelerate lower, or do we get an acceptance of value and head higher? It looks like right now, it looks
Right.
like a rejection of value at the moment.
Okay, that opening range is established now in crude. 69.72 at the high, 69.59 at the low. See what happens here. So I do attach a VWAP to it. It's this, I'm going to make it red line. And for me, coach, I'm reading how this VWAP responds to this range, right? Price might go outside
Mm,
of it. But if that volume doesn't go, to me, it's still there's a probability that the market just goes without me and I'm late on the move. But
right.
if I don't get that volume confirmation, I try to stay out of that trade. So let's see what happens here.
Gotcha.
What for you, Coach Ray, ultimately gets you to say, hey, that's what I've seen. I'm going to go ahead and click the button. That's a trade I'm willing to put risk behind.
Yeah. Yeah. So ideally, I'd like to see at least a 15-minute candle here to kind of establish. But I mean, normally I'd like to see some price move with volume. Okay. And ideally, it would be great if we can get a little bit on a lower time frame. So 15 minutes is kind of my go-to candle. And once I get what I want to see on the 15, I'll drop to a 1 or 2 minute chart, and I wait for one last bit of confirmation. I'll draw some sort of bearish channel, assuming that we're going long, or a bullish channel of some sort, and then wait for a price event to leave that channel in order for me to execute the trade. So those are two things. I need a 15 and then a 2 to kind of align in the same direction of the trade.
Some stuff. Good stuff, Coach Ray. We do have overnight VWAP in crude oil down at what price is that? Right here, 69.55. So right below where we are trading currently. Crude trading 69.63, still in that 1 minute opening range. VWAP down at 69.54. Not much of a directional move right now.
No.
Which would you define your strategy more so as a trend trader, coach, a range bound trader, a combination of
Yeah,
both,
I would say,
reversion?
yeah. The idea behind the initial balance is the idea is kind of a momentum, I guess. If we leave a balance area, either we kind of move into an auction to the upside, or we get to a point where we get to that edge of initial balance, we break above it, and we kind of turn around and reverse. So I would consider myself more of a trend following or trend based kind of trader rather than a range trader. Obviously, there's opportunities maybe that come in our market, where we do a little bit of mean reversion type of things. If we're extended in one direction, then I will look at a mean reversion trade. But I would say first and foremost, I'm looking for opportunities or swings in a direction. And I use kind of initial balance to kind of establish the range, and then I kind of wait for price and volume to kind of meet and look for a momentum trade in one direction or the other.
Similar story here, Coach Ray. All right, so we got probably about another 10,
Order
15 minutes
filled.
left in this segment, and then we do have the guys coming on for fast markets. We know that they're going to be
Mm-hmm.
focusing on the equities, so let's just take a quick
Yes.
look. We went over
Yeah.
them early, but to see if anything has changed. And I do want to pull up that NASDAQ chart again, where remember the trade idea that I took it off because I have to have a conservative price target. I don't know that the market is going to trade to this lower end of this range, but for anyone who's looking to maybe find some opportunity after some of the news events that we have, what we did with this GDP jobless claims candle, I do this all the time, right? Wait for the first 3 minutes to establish, attach a VWAP to it, identify the high and the low extremes of that, and it's just a range bound trade.
Yeah.
Right. So we were getting short up at 91s. I could technically still be in this because my risk was at 107. I'm not going to count the money that I didn't make or should have made. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a decent opportunity for a quick potential scalp trade after these news events, right? How do I manage risk, Coach Ray, in a 1 second candle that's 40 points? I don't know. But after 3 minutes, where the market settled down a little bit, there's definitely some opportunity here. What I would be looking for going into the opening is, again, how the market responds to this range. We know this was some of the bigger, at least planned news for the day. We are in a headline driven market right now, so anything can come out that is going to have a bigger effect on the markets. But this range, 20,050 up to 20,100 in the Nasdaq, uh, is where I'd be looking for, some volume to say, hey, we're getting directional for the day and trading outside of that. Otherwise, we stay in this range, and those are your opportunities for the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're inside value from yesterday. Even it's on the low end of value, but we're still in value nonetheless. So indicating that
Yep.
there is balanced kind of activity going on between the markets. We are below our VWAP. Okay, VWAP, but that's another kind of sentiment indicator that I use to kind of help me with direction. So but the problem is it's not really, how we say, a VWAP that I would like to really kind of lean on all that much. It's a little bit on the
Right.
flat side, right? Because the
Yep.
VWAP is a little bit flat. We're getting price in both directions.
100%. When I was, a self-proclaimed not great range trader, and then I started
Hmm.
using VWAP, and I realized that every time I was trading in a range, my entries were always in the middle, and
Yep.
flat VWAP tells you exactly that, right? So
Right.
anytime I see that flat VWAP, like you said, Coach Ray, I'm not looking to take any trades at it.
Yeah.
Extensions from it give us, that reversion trade opportunity, but yeah,
Correct.
flat VWAP, I'm not looking for direction at all because neither is the market.
No, no.
Neither is the
Ideally,
market.
when VWAP, the idea is you want to get it to begin to slope in one direction, right? If we
Right.
get price movement with some acceleration or momentum in one direction, then you use VWAP as kind of a pullback location to participate. But in a flat VWAP environment, you really need to focus in on the edges of that range, right? To
Yep.
look for opportunity.
Good stuff. S&Ps, we'll talk really quick about what that news range was. The high of it, 5760, the low, 5750. Right. And we can see same thing since that news is printed. Volume has been pretty flat. We traded both sides of the range. And, you know, that's to me, that's the range. That's the highest volume that we've seen for the day so
Hmm.
far. So we got a little, whatever this spike was last night, 5747 at the high there.
Yeah, a little
So now we're going to need
towards the
some more
low.
volume to push us out of this, whatever this zone is here. Um,
Right. Yeah, we're
all
trying
right.
to, looking at the 3 minute here, we're trying to get above that VWAP as we speak here, but not reacting all that strong away from it. Um, but yeah,
All right. Good stuff, Coach. What's on the curriculum for today? What are we teaching the youth of America today?
math, being able to decide on what amount they're going to pay for their commissions on their trades. Making sure that they don't get
Say what?
yeah. So I'm a
There we
math
go.
teacher by day, trader by morning and night. So yeah,
Okay.
I focusing on some of the math aspects. Making sure that they can balance their checkbooks, making sure
Nice.
they locate a good discount when they see one. That sort of thing.
There we
That's
go.
what needs to be taught. They never taught us that. Is
Right.
yeah, it's something that use in life. What they taught us, I haven't used it at all.
Yeah,
But anyway, hey, we got 76% here long in the crude, and it's been holding pretty much here. 75% in the
yeah.
money, 69.58 is the average price here for crude.
Yeah, no,
So
I
looking at
think the fact that we're above this kind of we're above the initial balance range from London. We're above VWAP. I would say that if we can get above that 69.80 level, then yeah, I think I would be aligned with our tilt family.
yeah, I would agree. Yeah. So we
77% long.
see with that 1 minute opening range, we did break. We traded outside of it to the downside. Low of the opening range on the 1 minute 69.59. Real quick look outside, but if we look at VWAP since that opening range printed, it's a flat line, right? Flat VWAP,
Right,
coach. Range bound markets.
right,
So now we're
right.
trading to the upper end of it as well. And let's see, right? Is there enough? You know, are there enough convinced buyers to trade outside of this range, or do we fall back into it?
Hmm.
Right now, I would say this is probably not a big enough range for me to scalp. So if I'm looking at crude, it's just wait until we get more information. Like you said, you're looking at a 15 minute. Uh, you'll get
Yeah.
more information from that 15, and on a higher time frame trade, maybe you'll take it from there. Coach Ray, what's your so you're looking at a higher time frame chart. You're looking at like a 15. what's your
Yeah.
like average trade time? Are you in
Oh
trades
well,
long,
I can
or
range.
do your setups take long?
Yeah, my setups generally, I guess I on average, I'm probably in a trade anywhere between, I don't know, 15 up to an hour and a half at times, depending
Okay.
if I find a good direction. But again, I'm again focusing on these extremes of levels, right? So initial balance higher, initial balance low, and then I look for some higher time frame consolidation areas for my targets, right? So these higher time frames are hopefully give me enough runway for the trade to take place. So normally I try to hold a trade as at least for a 15-minute bar. So my stops are around my 15-minute bar, and I'm looking for consolidation range as targets. I wait for my 15 to give me kind of a clue as to what direction they're looking to take the market around a price level. I drop to my 2-minute, get the same event that kind of is aligned with the direction of whatever direction of trade that I'm looking to take, and I entered the trade. And then at that point, it really there's really and obviously you want to put a stop at the other end of the 15-minute candle there. Honestly,
Right.
there are times where I walk away, Coach. I mean, I'm not glued
Yeah.
to the platform. I'll walk away and I'll come back in 15 or 20 minutes and see how things are progressing. One of two things are going to happen: either the trade is moving in my direction, or I've just been stopped out. But I'm not going to be able. So what was it? Something that one mentor told me: we don't get smarter when we're in the trade, right? We've done all
Right.
this analysis.
Right.
We entered the trade. We place our stop. We place our targets, and then all
Let
of
it
a
work.
sudden we throw all that away. The moment we're in the trade, right? So to avoid that, sometimes I'll just set my stop. In some cases, I must set. Most of the time, I don't set a target, but I do set a stop, and then I'll just walk away, pick up a coffee, do something else for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and come back to the charts, see
Nice.
how it's
I've
progressing.
heard you call yourself an intraday swing trader, and
Yes.
I like that idea. Right. Put on a higher time frame, and we call it higher time frame. We still have to close trades by the end of the day, but
Correct.
I'm not maybe not looking for quick scalps.
Yeah.
Maybe for bigger opportunities. I know again you've worked with Deanna a lot as well, and
Yeah.
she's very similar in that sense,
Yeah.
where you know there has to be decent enough opportunity for you to even consider putting on a position,
Correct.
and I
Correct.
do like that
I only
approach.
honestly I only take 1 to 3 trades a day, right? At most, right?
There we
And
go.
honestly, if I'm having a bad day, I'm taking 5 to 7 trades, right? Because at
Okay.
that point, I'm trying to make up for losses that I made earlier in the day, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, we
yeah,
all fall
no,
guilty to that. Right. We're all
Good
guilty.
stuff. Trading with Brad says, "I like that style, Coach Ray." It's good
thank
stuff.
you,
That's how you
thank you.
sustain an account. We are seeing gold
Yeah.
continue to sell off a little bit. We did have that opening range in gold, and we can see in this example, right? Just real quick, we had that VWAP leave the range and kind of acting
Hmm.
as a resistance on the
Yeah.
way down. I know you were looking at
Yeah.
those 30 40 8s, maybe down to 30 38s, Coach Ray.
Right.
I
Yep.
do like that idea. So initial balance in gold would be coming up pretty soon here, right? We got about 7 minutes or so since it's open. Would you look at those initial
Yep.
balance ranges, 63 half down to wherever this move goes, and then look for opportunities from there from that initial balance?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, once that initial balance is established, then basically, I'm waiting for is an extension of those ranges, right, in one direction or the other. Right now, the expectation is that would be lower, and once we get that extension, then the idea is that, especially with some volume, then we wait for a pullback to that same range, right? Right. In this case, would
Yep.
be IB low, right? And that oftentimes gives us really nice continuation opportunities in that same direction. So the initial balance range is kind of like that sort of. So I avoid the initial balance range, that range entirely, and
Mhm.
then basically wait for price to leave that range and then look for it. Now, the shorter the range, the better off you are. Actually, I prefer having really narrow ranges because it doesn't
Makes
take
sense.
all that much effort to get that price to get out of that range, right? The
100%.
wider the range, it makes it a little bit more difficult for price to leave that range. So so you have to take
There
that
we
into
go.
consideration on your style of trade.
Awesome stuff. Well, thank you, Coach Ray. We're going to go ahead and throw back to Eddie real quick for to wrap this up and get ready for fast markets. But if you have not, if this is your first time seeing Coach Ray on TopStep TV, he does a class in Discord every day. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coach Ray, but that time is 6 p.m. Central. Is that correct?
Correct. 6 p.m. Central. The only day I call it a family day Friday. Family day Fridays are the only day we don't have a class. But Monday through Thursday from 6 to 7, and look forward to seeing you guys out there.
Awesome stuff.
Cool.
Coach Ray, it's been great working with you today,
Likewise.
man. Back to you, Eddie.
Have a great day, Coach.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, Ray. All right, folks, we are just ready to move on to our fast markets here. We got lots going on today. I tell you, we've got Coach Dakota, Coach Hoop. We got Sam Gelman, Colin Woodward. We've got Trade with TopStep with Alfie. Deanna is going to join us here a little later on for Lunchbox Trading. Elmer going to be here for Rising Star. And yes, our good friend in the chat, Gigi DeMonico, going to close us out with the dynamic duo for Power Hour. But this morning, Fast Markets, we are bringing you all the hits with Coach Dakota, Coach Hoop. A very special drop-in from Sam Gelman, and I mentioned in Colin Woodward. Coach Dakota may have had a losing day yesterday, maybe, but nothing deters Coach Dakota from trading these markets. So here's to his jab in the way of the green. Coach Hoop earned a nice $670 in his express funded account yesterday. The head coach of the Pit Raiders here to show us how it's done. Then our crypto expert, Sam Gelman, will be with us here with Colin Woodward to talk things all crypto. And I tell you, that crypto thing is really starting to grow here. So I'm going to be taking notes myself. But otherwise, coming up next, we got Fast Markets.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I promise.
Why TopStep? Because traders shouldn't have to risk everything to participate in the markets. And since 2012, we've provided capital to over 10,000 futures traders just like you. From the pits in Chicago to screens in over 143 countries, we've been motivated by one simple idea. We don't care who you are or where you learn to trade. If you pass TopStep's trading evaluation, you'll be invited to trade with our capital in a fully funded account. As a TopStep funded trader, you keep 90% of profits and we take the losses. We also offer educational resources for all levels, live classes, and free group coaching from a team with over a century of professional trading experience.
Order filled.
We're invested in your success. So what are you waiting for? Ditch the brokerage account, start learning by doing, and become a TopStep funded trader today.
I have to ask you a question now. What's
Please.
the market's job?
The market's job is to find a level where two-sided trade can take place.
And it did
Like
not
any-
succeed in doing that at those lows, did it?
No, it did not. So higher prices were cutting off activity this morning. Early on, remember, it's a continuous two-way auction process. Early on, when the market tried to sell off to correct overnight inventory, volume dried up. Good idea, volume's going to trade higher. So many times, traders get whipsawed because they are so focused on price, and they don't understand that price without context and time and volume are part of the context associated with the auction.
JD has risen to be a key player and leader on the TV team. Stand out on air, both with deep market knowledge and one-of-a-kind sense of humor. When JD talks, traders sit up straight. It's true. And beyond everything you see on air, JD is the brains and brawn behind the weekly kickoff email. Every Sunday, our traders are prepared for the week ahead because of his hard work and dedication. JD, we appreciate you so much. You're a true standout. We're very glad to call you colleague and friend, buddy.
All right, James Harden from TopStep TV reporting live from the Las Vegas desert. I'm here with Top Stepper of the Month, JD. JD, how long have you been with TopStep, and what is it that you do here?
I've been with TopStep for 5 years now. I just celebrated my 5th anniversary. Just won Top Stepper of the Month yesterday for the 3rd time in 5 years, if you could believe that.
I didn't know we had a 3-time recipient in our hands. Wow, I didn't think that was allowed.
Yeah, I didn't know that was allowed either, a 3P. Why do we give him the Top Stepper of the Month again? Because I'm so goddamn good at what I do.
Yes, you are, JD.
Not to give me the
Just
award.
ask him. Click like, click subscribe. This is TopStep TV.
Order filled.